about excellence. And I couldn't think of a better thing to put up than, wow, Bill and Ted. Yes, the Excellent Adventure. And they're working on a third one right now. So that's pretty cool. Oh, don't say that. It should be cheering. Yes. Yeah. Hopefully they'll have Socrates back in there and stuff. So, Lisa knows what's going on. We're going to talk about excellence because I think this is something, I know this is something that affects us as Christians, no matter where we come from, no matter what we do, no matter what walk of life we've come from. I've come from as blue collar family as there can be. I don't come from a line of pastors. My inspiration in becoming a pastor can be attributed to two people. Number one, my Uncle Nat Olson, and he's passed away, but he was a traveling pastor and a family counselor, and just a great guy. And the other guy that inspired me to go into ministry was my youth pastor. Grades did not allow me to play sports in school. I'm just throwing that out there, okay? And so I got involved in ministry. I got involved in going to the church, helping my youth pastor get involved in doing these things, and just show up early on youth group nights or during the week. What do you need help with? And remember Daryl Kahlberg. Daryl, Linda, I know you've watched these. They had me come out once, and he was the worship pastor, and he would have me come, and he goes, we need someone to cut the lawn. And if you've ever seen Bethel Tabernacle, it just sounds big. Bethel Tabernacle Assembly of God, okay? God. And it was a big property, huge hills on 70th off State Street in Wauwatosa. He said, we would like to pay you to do the lawn. So we did it. I did the lawn. And it was steep hills, one of those where you lower a rope down, bring it back up. And I was a teenager. I got done hours later. And he goes, here you go. Give me a $20 bill. I was like, really? Really? Those sort of things. And as a teen, I can get away with saying really, But it was just one of these things like, wow, that's, but I did it with all my might. I did it with excellence. And God honors this. God honors you and I when we do what we do, when we have what we have with excellence. It's my opinion that we live in a world where mediocrity is the norm. Many people do as little as they can to get by. It's almost as if we don't take pride in work or in who we are. I get so jazzed when I pull up to McDonald's because they have ice cream, but for other reasons, when the teller, the person at the window, is like, college age or teenager, even if they're older, and they just are excited. They're just happy. Here are your fry. Here is your order. I hope you have a great day. I'm like, you know what? This is what we're called to do, no matter what job we have. You and I have all had jobs where we're like, oh, dear Lord, why do I got to clock in this morning? Why do I got to do this? One of the first jobs I ever had was a cleaning gig, and in conjunction with the job at the toy store at Mayfair Mall, and I would clean these break rooms on State Street in the foundry areas. And if you've ever seen a foundry break room, oh my. But you know what? It was bringing in a paycheck. It was as a teenager, it was exciting times. When watched, we have to wonder if we're doing with excellence our jobs. When we're watched, we're one way. You know how it is. Here comes the boss. Everybody act like you're working. Everybody get busy. And then when they go away, okay, then it's a different way. And if we're not careful, we will get pulled into that same mentality because it's very easy to do that, to show up late, to not take pride in your work. Some of us in this room, we've worked with the foundry or we're foundry lifers. And yet we take pride in what we do. There's always the joke of saying, I can't wait to retire, I'm going to retire. There's nothing wrong with that. But you didn't get to this point with slacking on the job. You got to this point because you took pride in your work. And it applies for a lot of us in our daily lives. The reason this guy standing up here became an office person at an HVAC company is because I showed up every day to work early. My dad raised us, if you're 5 minutes early, you're late. And we just showed up, clocked in when you're supposed to clock in, and I took pride in building HVAC units. If you ever went through Dairy Queen parking lot, I've been there a couple times, there's this big silver box on the side of the building next to the window. That's an HVAC unit. I built those. When you open them, it's a full-on computer inside. My proudest moment is building the MGM Grand HVAC unit, okay? But we all have things that excite us. But it was one of these things, day after day I showed up to Graham Company. Now it was called Danfoss. And day after day I would do that, and anything they asked me to do, yes. It was like Jim Carrey, yes man. Yes, I will do that. Yes, I will do that. There was a job nobody else wanted to do, and it involved every morning coming in a little earlier and counting all of the circuitry, all of the hardware, making sure stock is on. Would you do this, Bob? Yes, I will do this. And I did it proudly. I was able to throw on my headphones and go do the counting thing. And eventually, my brother, who was there before me, he was there, and he just saw me climb the ranks. I was saying yes to everything, and eventually, Bob, here's your office. We like your personality. Will you do sales for us? Sales are down. Yes, I will do that. And I had my own office, my own door right next to HR, and it was just an amazing thing. And, through these things, you just start seeing God's favor in your life when we do stuff with excellence. This trip that Dave and Sue and I and Tracy went on last week, that opened doors this week for new opportunities. And it was like, when we move in excellence in whatever we're doing, we see God's favor, and he starts opening doors for us. I came back from the trip, and Foundations for Living came knocking on my door to be a board member, okay? And it's a great organization. We haven't done much with them, but it was just like, hey, we see your heart for people in this community and in the States. That lines up with what we're doing. Would you be a board member? I'll probably say yes to that. I got called by a very desperate coach in the school system. We need a destination imagination coach. I don't even know what that is. I know what Reading Rainbow is, but I don't know what destination imagination is. I know LeVar Burton. But, it was one of these things. Yes, I will do that. Sure, my kid's in it. I will happily do that. And I said, when do I start volunteering? Oh, no, it's not a volunteer position. You need to come in and do your drug test and all this stuff. I'm out. No, I'm just joking. So I went and did all of that. And, it was just one of these things, like I was willing to volunteer, but they said, no, we want to help you out. We want to supplement you a little bit. And, when we do this, you've seen it in your own life. When we clock in, clock out, we see this. And I've discovered God doesn't necessarily bless mediocrity, but he blesses excellence. When you have an excellent spirit, you do the right thing, you go the extra mile. Some may complain, but you know what? We ought not sink to that level. Everybody compromises, they cut corners, they don't care about the yard. We don't do that as Christians. As Christians, we're called in 1 Corinthians 10:31, therefore, whether you eat or drink or whatever you do it for the glory of God. In other words, when you clock in that job, understand there are a bunch of other people that would love to have the job that you have right now. Okay? When you wake up in the morning and say, God, it's morning, or rather you say, good God, it's morning, all right? That sort of thing. We got to wake up with the attitude of saying, we're going to make a go of this. It's going to be a good day. Recite the Mr. Rogers, it's such a good feeling, that sort of thing. But to wake up, not like in a cheesy way, but to say, it's going to be a good day. I got to stay positive. I got to look at things as half full. For pessimists, that becomes a little more difficult. But for optimists, the glass is always half full. The glass is almost there. We can do this thing. We can get through it. Yeah, but Pastor Rob, you don't know my situation. You don't know what my kids have done. You don't know how much I've struggled to do this. No, I don't. But we've all walked through pains in life. We've all walked through hurts. And to exceed in excellence doesn't mean you have to live in a white collar sort of way. We can do this blue collar. I have said this over and over again. You can be rich, I can be rich at any social level in society today. If you're at poverty level, you can be rich. If you're in blue collar, you can be rich. White collar, you can be rich. You can be down and out, you can be up and out. There's all sorts of things that go on in a person's life. When a business owner next door to us growing up the wife came over to our house. My mom, we always rented. My parents rent to this day. We grew up in a 4-family apartment unit, and the owner of a very successful business in Wauwatosa came over to have coffee with my mom. My mom, to this day, you go in her house, it's beautifully decorated, but it's all garage sale, okay? Or because Aunt Reddy had home interior sales, okay? You know, home interiors are the brass butterflies, and they're the ones that invented sconce, okay? They're beautiful, yes. Well, this lady said, my mom said, you have a beautiful house. And they did, next door, in-ground pool, jacuzzi, all of that stuff. And I remember this lady saying to my mom, and we were in the other room. It was one of those conversations where mom would say, boys, go play in the other bedroom. Go in the other room because they were going to have a conversation. And I remember this lady saying, we have a house, but you have a home. And a lot of us in this place, we have homes. Okay? It doesn't matter if you rent. There's nothing, there's something to be said about renters. You can call a landlord. My landlord, he's a jerk. He doesn't fix things right away. Okay? I own, by the way. And so it's just one of these things, like there's something to be said about that. And no matter where we are, we can do it with a spirit of excellence. Your boss should be able to say to the new hires, hey, watch this person. Hey, you're the new person on the floor. There was a guy named Charlie Jones that worked here. You need to watch how he worked. You need to hear stories about how he worked. Hey, you know what? There's this person that's doing that. You need to watch this person. You need to be the reason. I need to be the reason that people are inspired, not the reason why work hazard videos are made. Okay? Don't watch that person. Okay? Make sure that the breakers shut off. Do this or that sort of thing. We think I go to church or read the Bible to honor God. If I give in the offering, I honor God. Those are things that are good and does honor Him. But getting to work on time honors God. Being good to your spouse honors God. Being good to your kids honors God. How do we do that? It's by staying in the Word. It's by staying plugged into a church, staying plugged into people, staying plugged into a Bible, reading our Word. This is from our Royal Ranger group. We all have the same Bible in Royal Rangers, so because they're learning where books are, and that way I can say turn to page 255, and they're all on the same page. And but God blesses excellence. And we have to be careful not to slip in. I shared that with you a couple weeks ago. Tracy and I were having a conversation with the owner of the pizza ranch, and he said, I cannot fill job positions. I've had my hiring sign up for 5 months. We were literally standing there, and he was telling us this. And we have mutual friend connections through Bible college. And I said, well, what do you think the deal is? He goes, we've done 25 callbacks on people that are well qualified. But they won't call us back because they're just trying to fill the quota for unemployment. That is not a spirit of excellence. That is something where we literally should say, God, help me never to sink to that level. But when God presents us with an opportunity to do a job, we do it well. It may be a job where you're like, it's not the ideal, but you know what? God brought it your way. It's like somebody calling me and saying, could you coach a team? I never thought I'd do it. Yes, I will do this. So it's bringing in a paycheck, but there's nothing to say you can't be looking while you're doing this. Do it with excellence, but keep looking. Matthew chapter 14 says, you are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. So it's, go beyond the call of duty in our lives. Have to be to work at 8, show up 10 minutes early, see what happens. Go in there and say, yes, it is Monday. Hello, boss. How are you? They'll be like, okay, what's going on here? We're just stop on the way to the store, on the way to work. No, but just to have that positive attitude, that outlook on life. Some people do things at work and wonder why they don't get promoted. It's because God honors an attitude of excellence, an attitude of saying, I'm going to go for it. Genesis chapter 24, I'll just throw the reference at you. Abraham told his assistant to find a wife for Isaac. And he said, she will not offer you water, but she's going to offer you and your camels water. This is how you know this is the right one for you. Here comes the story of Rebecca. The camel, a typical camel, can drink up to 30 gallons in a day. It's crazy to think about. This person had 10 camels with him, which means 300 gallons of water. She is chosen to marry Isaac because of all she did for this whole encounter. And I doubt she had to water those camels ever again because she was willing to say, I'm going to do this as unto the Lord. God rewards excellence. It might say, I'm believing God for promotion, etc. Well, are you getting to work on time? If you're believing God for a raise, are you doing the things required to get that raise? It always seems like raises are never enough, but hey, you're getting a raise when we do the right thing. Doing what you have to do and going above and beyond. Your company shouldn't be able to get along nearly as well without you. When you're missing, it should hurt. If we ever shut the doors on this church, would people protest? Would people complain? Would people even know we're gone? When you're gone from a day at work, will people notice? When you're gone on a work trip, does your family notice it? Are the kids sad, or are they like, yes, he's gone? It should be the first, by the way. But we do these things, and I say this in love. Some people, looking at all aspects of life, some people drive a car that hasn't been washed in 6 months. If you don't take care of what God's given you now, how can he give you more? This is a little building by church standards. It's a little building by church standards. But we try to operate at a level of excellence. When you come in, it's clean. When you come in, it's tidied up. When you come in, hey, if there's spider webs, that's because there were some busy spiders between Thursday and today. Okay? When you come in, it's painted, it's clean. We have new decor, and we try to stay frugal. If a computer monitor goes out, where do we go first? I put it on Facebook. Because chances are somebody out there has a computer monitor laying around. And why should we spend money on a computer monitor when that can be put into ministry or something else along the way? Furnace needs help. Well, there's a lot of people that know how to change a filter and these sort of things. So we do it at a level of excellence as to bring honor to God. And this year, I truly believe that moment, that defining moment for us, was the exposure that Fox 11 gave us. We said yes to South Carolina, and instantly I sent a message. I sent a message, I think it was to Brian, and I put it on Facebook. I thanked Sharon as well. I said, thank you for making sure the grass looks good and the flowers are pretty, because Fox 11 just showed up with a news crew. And they're doing their thing out on the front lawn, and it looks beautiful, okay? When I see something laying around, we pick it up. This building represents God to our community. There have been times where I've left something sit purposefully, just seeing who might pick it up. Sometimes the test has been passed. Other times it's sat there for 3 weeks, and then I picked it up. But that's all right, because that's why we do our best with what we have. Why? Because God is not sloppy and second class. God, he's an excellent God. That doesn't mean you have to have the best of everything. It means to cherish and take care of with what you have. My Buick has 223,000 miles on it. I detail that thing every month. I think a car runs better when you wash it, personally. I don't know what it is. I just think it drives like it wants to smile. It's like Herbie, okay? It just wants to drive better down the road. Sometimes a can of paint can make a huge difference, pulling some weeds, being more organized. Have you ever been to like Universal Studios or Disney World or anything like that? I've been to Universal Studios a couple times, once with a youth group, and I'm always amazed. Went there, the last time I was there was when they just put in the crazy ride of Spider-Man. And you walk around there and it's like, my goodness, you will not find a piece of trash anywhere. You just won't. And I've heard that's the same of Disney World as well. It's clean, it's pristine, and I started thinking, if they're doing that, how much more should we do with what we have, our church, our homes, in these sort of areas? Take this to your life. Your house, your clothes, your car. I'm not saying to spend a lot of money. It's all in how you choose to take care of what God has given you. For me, it's been a spirit of frugality. My mom, she has been top-notch with her decor and everything, and my dad, factory guy, and they've done well. It's working with what you have and being proud of what you have. You may be in a situation where everyone's just a little lazy, a little undisciplined. If you have kids, raise your hand. Okay, a little lazy, a little undisciplined. Don't let that rub off on you. If you're at work and they're saying, don't worry about them, we'll just hang out here a couple minutes longer in the break. No, be the first back to your workstation, ready to go. Ready to make a difference. Let's get that quota filled. Let's get that next thing built. And see what happens. People begin to notice that. A boss may not always come up to you and say, great job being back in time, but they notice. They notice these things. Whatever we do in our job. So you're saying I came to church today for you to tell me how to clean my house? No. Mow your lawn as well. Okay? Take care of what you have. This is important stuff. When we bought our house, we live at 1029th Street, right across the street from the hospital on the corner of 9th and Park. When we bought the house, it was a house that was a district parsonage. That's a churchy word, I understand. Okay, and it was the parsonage for the district office of the Assemblies of God. Okay, if you drive by the house and you come in, you may even still feel the aura of, never mind. But there was, some higher ups that lived there. There was Arden Adamson. There was the Leby family. Larry Leby and his family owned that house. The Helds, Ron and LaDon Held lived there. And then it went through a moment of, they just sold it off and just random people lived there. We bought it at a time where the family was moving to Madison, so a relocation company took over. And when that happens, it just, kind of gets subdued and it's not very well taken care of. And when we moved in, people were driving by, some people walked by and said, boy, that yard's been neglected. And I'm like, it has, it's sad looking. Before I painted, before I did anything, the windows had to be replaced. It was literally one panel of glass on the windows. The roof needed to be replaced. The very first thing I did, landscape it. Okay? It's pretty much saying, okay, I know I'm a mess, but I can brush the dust off. I'm going to landscape it. I had neighbors coming by saying, thank you. Your house looks great. I didn't even paint it. It was all beige, And they just said, thank you. It looks so nice here. Neighbor came over and said, wow, you really upped the ante for me to take care of my yard. That's a good thing. Not saying you got to have all the best, but what you do have, run it through the car wash. Take care of it. And see what God does. God honors us. God honors these things that we take care of. You may not have the best of everything. I don't have the best of everything, but I'm sure thankful for what I have. Here's what Katie Gabbert's father taught me, Zealand. He goes, Bob, I heard you talk on this once before, and this is what I want you to understand. This is my life motto. Want what you have. Want what you have. What you have is what God's given you for this time. Want what you have. Don't want what somebody else put on Facebook. People post the highlight reels. I put some cool pictures up from my weekend up on Facebook. The ski lift, the yodeling. I'm sorry about that. And apple orchard stuff. But you know what? What I didn't post is Noah having a complete mental breakdown, in the parking lot. We see the highlight reels. Ben and I joke around often about the amateur photography thing. But you got to understand, we have rapid fire on our DSLRs, okay? What you don't see, and we should post, is the blooper reel from all of those photos, okay? You know how it is, Nikki. And so, want what you have. You see, we represent God, and He does not, I believe, like sloppiness. So here's the question. Are there areas where God is dealing with you to come up a little higher? When we obey, a reward's going to follow. People are watching you. Your kids live the unedited version of your life. What are they seeing? What's your boss seeing? Where you volunteer, hey, you know what? You're volunteering right now, but if you keep volunteering with a good attitude, a good spirit, that volunteer thing may take you higher in that situation. Where do we need to come up higher? The book of Daniel talked about how he had an excellent spirit. Daniel chapter 6 verse 3 says, Then Daniel distinguished himself above the governors and satraps because an excellent spirit was in him, and the king gave thought to setting him over the whole realm. You see, Daniel as a teen, he was brought out of Judah into Babylon. The king was training and going after him and wanting him to be the smartest, to look for the next leaders. But Daniel said, you know what, there's a certain diet I'm going to stick to. I'm not going to eat that stuff. I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to do what God's called me to do. He was respectful, but followed God's diet for him, not what everyone else was doing. You see, notice it didn't say God distinguished him. It says he distinguished himself. God can do that, but at the same time, God's given us a spirit of saying, you know what? I am who I am. I'm going to walk a little straighter. I'm going to walk with purpose. My grandma Adams, she passed away in 96, but you sit on her couch slouching, sit up. That's not how a young man sits on a couch. It's like, okay, Thanksgiving dinner, here, grandma, put your shoulders back. She was like, boom, like on it, like this is not how an Adams carries himself. I'm like, oh, but it sticks with you. he distinguished himself. In other words, Daniel, in theological terms, thought he was the bee's knees. Okay? He thought, I know who God made me to be. Yes, I am a sharp guy. Yes, I am a good thinker. Yes, if you need this in your life, I'm the man for you. There's nothing wrong with that, folks. Love your neighbor as yourself. How much do you love yourself? Not like crazy, vain things, but how much do you love yourself? Daniel had a very high self-esteem. I love how the Message puts it. But Daniel, brimming with spirit and intelligence, so completely outclassed the other vice regents and governors that the king decided to put him in charge of the whole kingdom. So outclassed them. That's what happens when you honor God, number one, and have a spirit of excellence, number two. It goes on to say how Daniel was 10 times smarter than the other men. When you're honoring God, when we're honoring God as a church, as individuals, as a family, it will cause you to stand out. Some people are going to absolutely dislike it. But you're not out to please them. You're out to please God and see what God has for you. So as the worship team comes up, just a couple of questions for you. Are you distinguishing yourself? Are you saying, yes, I am a good employee. Yes, I am going to make the most of this day. Yes, I am a good dad. Yes, I am a good mom. There will be times, because you know what? You're going to say, yes, I am a good dad. And then all of a sudden, something's going to fall apart. And then you're going to wonder, how in the world do the kids even like me? Those moments come. But one thing I've learned really quick is I may bark at Emma, I may bark at James or Noah, but you know what? They forget that really quick because they just know that dad's on the ground, they're going to tackle them. You know? They think you're the coolest at that point. So you're going to have your moments of letdown, but you've got to keep pressing on. God's always dealing with us in areas to sharpen up. And as one person's put it, don't let something small prevent God from releasing something big into your life. 1 Corinthians 10:31, whether you eat or drink or whatever you do, do it for the glory of God.